Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. I wanted to share some thoughts about the intuition and the ego today and how to differentiate between the two, how to recognize when your ego is speaking and how to recognize when your intuition is talking to you. The reason why I want to talk about this today is because it's such a struggle for so many people to genuinely connect to their intuition, to really truly tune in and tap in to their authentic feelings, their authentic guidance system, right? Versus their ego. It is very difficult sometimes for people to differentiate. But if you do learn about the ego, if you understand how the ego works, then you're going to have a significantly easier time determining what is speaking to you at any given moment and whether you're acting in that given moment out of survival mode, because that's what the ego does. It tries to protect us and tries to keep us in survival mode, or is your response or reaction to a certain situation going to be one of from your higher self, from an intuitive sense or from an intuitive perspective. And it's really, really, really important to know the difference. And I reiterate this to people all the time, because if you don't know the difference, what happens is you're going to continuously make wrong choices for yourself. You're going to make choices for yourself and for your life based on your ego's desires and your ego's fears and your ego's limitations versus your own intuitive hits, versus your own intuitive knowing when something is for you and knowing when something is not for you. It can, as you can understand or appreciate, I'm sure, it can really take you down a very, very different path. It can take you into a whole different direction, our choices. And when you think about it, we're making choices every single minute of every single day. We're constantly choosing. We are constantly deciding what to do next, what is important next, what is priority next. It's constant. Choices are a constant daily part of our life. So if we're always making choices, what if we were to make those choices from a truly knowing place, from a place that represents truth, not fear? And the way to distinguish who is talking, and this is something that I've observed within myself, I now recognize and understand that every time my intuition is talking to me, it's subtle yet powerful. And I felt this like repeatedly with just different things coming up in my life, getting a feeling about something. The feeling kind of starts out subtle, but then intensifies in energy. You start to feel like there's like an inner tugging. Something is tugging at you on the inside, and that is kind of indicating to you that you really need to pay attention to it. And we usually know. I find we all know. We are all connected to our intuition enough to understand when it truly is speaking to us, and we so many times recognize when it is the intuition, but yet we ignore it completely. And the reason why we ignore it is because we have doubt, we question ourselves, we don't trust ourselves, we don't trust our intuition, we don't trust God half the time, or spirit to guide us in the right direction. That mistrust comes from your ego. It comes from your ego trying to keep you in survival mode, trying to keep you contained within a certain comfort zone. Because my ego wants to do exactly that. And I've recognized this time and time again, of every time my ego steps up and wants to really dictate what my next moves are going to be, but that dictation is always based on fear. Always, always, always. And once I started to recognize that when I make decisions out of fear, those decisions never go well. They never ever turn out for me, and they never work out in the way that I truly desired for them to work out. Once I understood this and realized this within myself, I really started to it helped me to hone in on my intuition that much more, because it gave me clarity about my intuition and when she speaks. And now I've come to recognize that your intuition is always subtle, but sometimes not subtle. Sometimes it's very in your face, like, like a fire alarm going off in your head about something or someone. But other times it's just a super subtle little hit of like feeling of, and there's the other thing with intuition I've noticed is that there's like a thought and a feeling, and those two are connected. And so like a thought will come or a feeling will come, and then a thought will come as a result, or a thought will come and then a feeling will come as a result. And there's always that connection between the two. And that is definitely intuition. So there's a heart mind connection going on with intuition, where with ego, it's all just the mind. You're only upstairs, you're only in your head, and you're not able to truly see a situation in its fullest potential, right? So some examples I want to use, when I'm needing to make a decision and I'm feeling pretty fearful about that decision, or I just am lacking the confidence to make that decision without hesitation, then I find the only thing that helps me and the only thing that provides clarity for me is to actually take some time and to go within myself. So at that point, I'm learning now that I have to calm my mind, I have to completely quiet my mind, and I have to like push out all of the other thoughts, all of the bullshit that my brain is producing in terms of thoughts, and just allow my brain to kind of drop down into my heart. That's essentially what I do in my meditation. I feel like my mind comes down into my heart, and then my heart starts to take over the entire situation and starts to recalibrate the information for me and starts to give me a completely different perspective about the situation. And that, again, I know is intuition. That is how I connect back into the intuition and start using that as my guidance system versus my mind, versus my ego, right? And this has been very, very helpful for me. So I do this often now. When I start to get super freaked out about something, I really have to take time and go within myself and just really think about and feel about the situation. And feel is the key word here. So I go into the feeling within myself and connect with that and look for the intuitive hits coming from those feelings. And the other thing I notice with my intuition is it's always loving and positive and kind. Always. So if there's any thoughts that come into the mind, that come into your awareness, that are not loving, that are not kind, that feel tight, restricted, those are all ego-based thoughts and fears. Those are 100% actually based on fears. So again, you're not going to get accuracy in terms of what to do for your situation, because you're only getting limitation after limitation coming up as options for you. Do you see what I'm saying? So to move outside of that limitation, I had to get inside of my heart and outside of my head. And then I was able to connect to the deeper essence of myself, the one that has no fear, the one that feels no fear and knows no fear, the one that is boundless and limitless and spiritual and just undeniably powerful. Then I connect to that essence of myself, and that essence of myself gives me the guidance and tells me and shows me through feeling, through images in my mind of what to do next, how to do it, what serves me, what doesn't serve me, who's for me and who is not for me in my life. And it's so accurate, it's so on point that it really is my guidance system. It has become my guidance system. So make sure that you're differentiating between your ego and your higher self, your intuition. Differentiate between the two. And if you have a really difficult time, and I know for myself, I was stuck in ego mode, in just being in my head and being in survival mode for a really long time. And I know I was stuck in that space for a really long time because I was just so used to it. It was my comfort zone. And that's the other thing too, is comfort zone is ego. Has nothing to do with your intuition, because intuition wants to constantly expand and grow, and intuition has no limitations. The spirit has no limitations. It is only fear, and it is only our minds that have limitations. So once I've recognized that within myself, that I'm able to actually control the thoughts and stay within my heart space and get the guidance that I need, it was such a no-brainer. It just made it truly made my life so much easier, so much less complicated in terms of making decisions. You know, sometimes making decisions can be very difficult because you just don't know what to do, and you feel trapped and you feel lost within your own mind and within your own thoughts of like bullshit that just keep ruminating in there, because that's what happens. It's like a circulation of thoughts. It is actually a circuit of thoughts that repeats, and it's on a loop. So we have to recognize that our brain does that it loops like that, because the brain likes everything that is familiar. The ego likes everything that is familiar. Everything that is new, everything that is unknown, everything that is outside of the comfort zone is foreign, is scary, is, you know, sort of almost unnatural for the ego. And that's why we get so stuck sometimes in ego mindsets and allow that to rule our life and to control our life without having any idea of what direction to actually move in, because the ego just keeps you always in that same little pocket, always in that same little, you know, tiny little box that you have put yourself into, which we call the comfort zone. So recognize where your comfort zone is and start to be uncomfortable with it. And that's what I'm noticing, is that my comfort zone is becoming so uncomfortable for me at this point, because I feel so much limitation within it, such a lack of expansion, that I really actually can't handle it anymore, and I don't like it. And I want to, at this point, like I'm at the stage of my life where I'm just willing to dive headfirst into the unknown, just so I can experience busting out of my comfort zone, and so I can realize what that feels like and understand it and truly integrate it within myself. So don't be afraid to bust out of your comfort zone. Don't be afraid to honor your own intuition and your own feelings, and trust those feelings. Your intuition is literally your direct phone line to Source, God, Creator. Do you understand that? That's huge, okay? That is what your intuition is. Do you ever think that Source, God, Creator would ever steer you in the wrong direction, or would ever maliciously steer you down a path that is not good for you? Never, ever in a fucking million years would it ever happen. So the intuition is truly, truly God speaking to you, speaking through you. Trust it. Listen to it. Every thought that enters your mind, every idea that enters your mind that has any type, even if it's the smallest, tiniest little sliver of fear attached to it, is ego-based. Don't trust it. Don't believe it. It lies to you, and it tries to keep you in limitation. Be mindful of this. That is my message for today. Pay attention to your ego versus your intuition talking. It is something that can truly change your life, because you might not take chances that will offer you opportunities to completely transform your life. But if you don't have the courage to take those chances because you're afraid of the unknown, because you're afraid of getting hurt, because you're afraid that you don't know, which direction things are going to go, well, you're not going to fucking find out if you don't try. So we have to try. We have to be willing to take that walk into the unknown so that we can bust out of that comfort zone and really experience what's on the other side. And from what I've experienced so far, every time I've taken a leap of faith into the unknown, no matter how scary it was, man, Source, God, Creator has truly always proven to me, my intuition has always proven to me that it was the right decision. So me trusting myself is my number one ally now, and listening to my intuition. And I want to live my life based on that. And I want to help you to live your life based on that. Not other people's thoughts, not other people's opinions, not other people's anything, and not your mind's thoughts or not your mind's opinions, but what your heart and your soul dictates and what your heart and your soul desires. That is intuition, and that is what you need to listen to. And the only way you're going to get those answers is if you quiet your mind. So hush this up. Take care, guys. Love you.